I did a video a few months back asking all of you for some of your hot takes about Phantom Parade, and since then a lot of time has passed. The channel has grown a decent amount, a lot of time has just flown by, so I thought I may as well do another video about all of your guys' hot takes, and whether or not they're actual hot takes or just straight up the truth, or you guys just being stupid. But with that being said, let's get straight into it. Hello. So as you guys can see here, I made a community post and it was very active. 33 people have stuff to say. Let's have a look-see. Should I start from the bottom or from the top? Well, we'll start from the bottom with the first people who replied. Red SSR meme is made. That is not a hot take. That is literally just the truth. I don't think many people would disagree with you. Here's the funny thing. Everyone that doesn't have red meme wants red meme, but everyone who does have her does not use her. She's like, just like Eno, or, you know, what's another good example? Or like Blue Todo. There's not really a reason to use them. Like, sure, you can make a team and you can do certain floors of tower and you can do okay on sweep, but it's like, why use her when you have, you know, SP Nobara, when you have Toji, when you have Red Yuji, when you have, you know, the new Red Yuji coming out, when you have like Red Yuta who's about to get SP buffs tomorrow. Like, why would you use Red Meme? Besides being a Guna, but, you know, she's mid. She's not great, right? I don't think that's a hot take. As I say, everyone that doesn't have her wants her. Everyone that has her lets her collect dust, and there's not much to really say about it. The only good thing about the special grade board game event is the rewards, and even then everything past tier 4 is locked behind being a paid player. I agree with that to an extent. I think today or yesterday the board game just ran out, so I think it's gone now, which is fine. Like, even if you are purely free to play, you've still got like an extra 4 multis from that on top of, like, I think we got a multi for logging in, and on top of the multi from like the story event as well, on top of pity points, on top of cubes you had saved up. Like, I think it would have been fairly reasonable for you to pull Blue Yuta from pity if you like saved up a little bit of stones if you really wanted him. But I do agree though, the pay to win aspect specifically for that board game was pretty harsh, but at the same time, you know, it was good. When they add mini games for like anniversaries and stuff, or like they do website stuff like the for the first anniversary or the 6-month anniversary on global, I guess, like the higher lower game mode on the website, like, that was fine. It was super simple. It worked. That one was actually fun. But most of the time with gacha games like this, they're not going to like make some super elaborate mini game that's going to stay around for 2 weeks, because what's the point? It won't exist for long enough for people to enjoy it. So they're not going to go crazy. It's just roll the dice, get locked in a cage, lose all your points, don't get any tickets. That's the board game in a nutshell. But for what it was, you know, I got extra multis, I got, you know, AP. I've got like 30 AP packs. I got dice. Like, it's fine. It was for an event. There was plenty of stuff for free to players, which is good. Global skipping over 4 choices is currently the worst choice they've made. No, the worst choice they made was making Eno mid. Also, skipping Kusakabe is like, you know, that's such a great sin that's talked about in the Bible. Like, you don't just skip Kusakabe. What the I've said this before. Skipping over 4 units is ridiculous. I've said this in multiple videos where it's like, you know, it was Red Megumi, Red Jogo, Naobito, and Kusakabe. And I said before, I was going to skip Naobito, maybe not skip Megumi, but skip Jogo, because they're not really needed, you know? Because I really wanted to save and pity Kusakabe. He's my favorite character and he's really good for yellow. But because of the random Blue Yuta release, it threw a wrench into everything. It kind of messed everything up, and I don't agree. I mean, I do agree. It was one of the, not necessarily worst decisions, just confusing. Because at the same time, we got a lot of free multis because it is the anniversary. Blue Yuta is a very good unit. I don't agree with when they skip units. Yes, I guess they want to try to make it a little bit more predictable and line up more with the prison stuff coming at the same time as JP, I guess. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just very confusing, and there are certain flaws on the tower that I think like need Red Megami. I think it's 86 or something. A lot of people are angry about that because they can't get past it without Red Megami, but what can you do, you know? I don't think it's the worst choice they've made. I think the worst choice they've made so far is just like making most Gojos kind of, they made Blue Gojo obsolete, and it annoys me because he was a really fun unit, but what can you do? Okay, next one. Dagon is the best DS if we exclude Jogo's SP buffs. DS, do you mean Disaster Curse? Do you mean DPS? I don't know what DS means. I don't know if I'm dumb. I might be dumb. If it's any category where free-to-play Jogo is against free-to-play Dagon, Jogo wins every single time, unless it's like which unit is worse. Because I've talked about this as well, and I think he's one of the worst units in the game, objectively. Like, there is not really merit to using him instead of using Tinjo or Zonji, or like, just Degumi on his own would do more damage than friggin' Dagon. And it upsets me because Dagon, as I've said before, is my favorite Disaster Curse, and they really did him dirty. Like, he was the most recent, yet he is the worst, objectively. Mahito does percentage-based damage, so he's always going to be doing at least some damage. Hanami's debuffs are insane. Dagon is just don't waste your medals unless you're like me and you're a super fan and you just want to see the animations. But beyond that, don't ever spend your medals on him because he sucks. And I agree with that. That's not a hot take. Well, no, I disagree with that. That's a terrible take. He's not the best at anything. He sucks. Dagon's trash. Unless I'm misinterpreting what DS means. Decisive Strike? Dead by Daylight? I don't freaking know. I got a couple of these. I think a couple of people said this. A couple of people commented this, talking about how Blue Maki is surprisingly like underrated. Now, I will say, okay, I'll just go through quickly. Blue Maki is underrated. She's not Sukuna or Yuta level. She can stand shoulder to shoulder with Yellow Toji and Green Mekamaru. People just don't understand her gimmicks and how she works. Fair enough. Seeing her put in a tier list besides Meme and Nobito breaks my heart. Miguel coming to global, her value rose. That I agree with. Now it would be good for them to release Blue Taijutsu DPS. Like, I don't want a Blue Gojo to replace the already outdated Blue Gojo. Just SP buff the current Blue Gojo. I don't want another Gojo. I'm gonna be real. And I think most people agree. And I don't know how the fuck one is like the top Blue Maki user in NA. If there is only one Maki user in NA. Apparently there's two in globally. I don't know anyone who uses it. My opinion is I don't think she's underrated or anything. I just think I do agree that her kit is very unique and can be not complicated, just annoying to deal with because you have to. The way her kit works is almost like a combo where once you use one move, it changes the effect of every other move. Will it increase crit rate? Will it buff your stats? You have to use her skills in a very specific order depending on what you're trying to do, and that can be annoying. I feel like Red Maki is kind of poisoned how I feel about the other Makis, so she sucks. So I'm going to say I disagree. I'm not going to say she's underrated. I don't think she's as good as Yellow Toji or Green Muta. I think Muta is green, like Kokichi is not goated, but he's very strong. It's just a shame that they released him and then like 2 weeks later, Hollow Purple Teen Joe. It's like, it's genuinely baffling, but I still think he is pretty decent. I'm not taking any besmirchment of my Mekamaru god, my Mekamaru king. I will not take it. I disagree. A lot of people keep downplaying on how solid Seon's Toji is. He isn't as OD as Zonji, but he's a good-ass replacement. If you've never got Zonji, such as myself, because all the times YouTubers said don't get Zonji, I wasn't making videos when he was out, so that was not me, I don't think. Or at least I didn't make a video about him. His kit does a pretty good job of complementing a setup, such as Shoko, Yaga, and Megumi. Pretty sturdy, and he builds up relatively fast if you mess around with his skill 2, or if there's multiple, or a skill 1 with multiple enemies, before the big DPS burst Yellow usually has. I have him at Awakening 2, I'm really happy with this unit, blah blah blah. Basically, he's glazing Seon's Toji, and as I said in my video on whether or not you should summon for him, I don't disagree with him. I do believe a lot of people do downplay him, but it's just because he feels so replaceable as a result if you have Zonji. I do agree with the sentiment, and I've said it before, if you have Zonji, you didn't need Seon's Toji. I stick to that. You don't really need him, because if you've already got like the best yellow taijutsu in the game, why would you need another? His kit is different, and he has more survivability, but he doesn't have this good damage, so at the end of the day, you're just gonna want Zonji more. I imagine your friggin' Seon's Toji is filthy, right? Awakening 2, you're getting mega percentage buffs from that, that's great. But at the same time, if you just have Zonji, you're fine. I don't know who the hell said don't get Zonji. They're silly billies if they said that. I don't think I said that. I don't think I was making videos at that time about Phantom Braid. Or at least my channel wasn't as active back then anyway. But Zonji is a beast. I do agree to an extent that he is underplayed a bit, but that is just because of how busted Zonji is in turn. Yes, he is underrated, but not to a ridiculous extent, because as I say, if you have Zonji, why bother even summoning for him, right? Majority of people don't actually like playing the game for fun or because they enjoy the IP. Everyone takes it way too seriously. Most of the YouTubers covering really push hard FOMO and push the mentality you should never go for a character you just like, that they're overpowered. I agree with that to an extent. And also, hello my dude, you comment on a lot of videos. Uchiha Club with the Joseph profile pic. I think this is basically the only decent JJK game out. Like, your options are literally this or a low effort console game. I agree with the same sentiment. I don't agree, it's like it's not a beggars can't be choosers mentality. At the end of the day, this is a gacha game, and they will inherently not be perfect because of the monetary systems behind them. Just because we have the choice between, like, in all honesty, a decent gacha game and a low effort console game doesn't mean the gacha game can't be better. I think it should be. I think there are a lot of things that Phantom Parade should improve upon, right? I think there's a lot of issues. I mean, every gacha game does, right? I do agree that a lot of YouTubers will push FOMO, and that's just because it is a gacha game. Everyone does that inherently. If I tell you to summon for a unit, it's because I don't know when he's coming back. If I tell you now, summon for Blue Yuta, he's a broken blue DPS, he is insane, it's because I don't want to miss out, and as a result, I don't want you to miss out either, because he's broken, and there's the fear of missing out, because you might be missing out, because without him, there's certain flaws you can't do. The certain content you can't beat. Like, that's how gacha games are inherently like that. It's not a Phantom Parade exclusive thing. Like, every gacha game was like this. I was playing Kaiju number 8 earlier. For the luck of God, I pulled the new limited Hikari's mom, whatever she's called. And I was like, oh, great. If I didn't have her, I deadass can't beat some of the event challenges that were added in the game. It's just how gacha games work inherently, and it's a shame, right? And I do agree that Curse Clash is a low-effort console game. It's just a shame that I have, how many hours is that? 132? It's because I use it for footage and I mod it, I've like got a bunch of mods in it and stuff, but it is not a good game, okay? I don't agree that people don't play it for fun or the IP. I also agree that people do take it seriously. Not necessarily too seriously, it's just because when you have a gacha game where they can be pretty standoffish when it comes to giving out free cubes and stuff sometimes, that currency has a lot of value on like a personal level, because it's like, if they're not going to give me a bunch of cubes and my favorite character comes out next week, I'm not going to be able to summon them. I don't agree with the fact that, you shouldn't summon for characters you don't like. I was going to summon for Ino anyway, because I wanted Ino. Ino is mid as hell, but I summoned for Ino. I literally said in my Should You Summon, if I recall, like, don't pull for him unless you're a super fan. And I hope I say it in all, like, the videos where it's a Should You Summon and the unit is mid. Like, if the unit is mid, don't summon for them unless you're a fan. I was going to pull Ino anyway, and I'm going to pull Kusakabe anyway. Not just because he's broken, but because Kusakabe is, like, #1 in my top 5. I'll do the same when Naui comes out. I'm going to try and get Miguel so hard. I went hard on Miguel's banner because I love Miguel and I couldn't get him. I don't agree with that. I feel like it's just more of a YouTube thing. When a person makes a video saying, should you summon for this character, they have to be extremely economical about it and say, no, you shouldn't summon for this guy because he is not the best. And the best unit will come out next week. I think that's more of a YouTube thing, because, being a free-to-play, like a lot of people are free-to-play with gacha games, it makes sense for it to be kind of more min-maxed, so to speak, and take out your favoritism so you can try and enjoy the full scope of the game and go through all of its content, because if you just summon for characters you like exclusively, you're not going to be able to do it. Like, you could be the most unlucky dude ever and your favorite characters are Ino, Mei, who else is mid? Like, Maki, right? Like, 2 out of 3 Makis are, like, okay, bad, or mid, right? Sorry, yes, Blue Maki is still underrated, but whatever. If you summon exclusively for those characters and you spent all your cubes on them, you're not going to be able to get through most of the content in the game, especially if you're a free player. It's why YouTubers and like people who make videos about gacha games are like that. They want you to pull the best characters in the game so you can beat the best content in the game, and if you do that, you'll get more cubes and stones to summon for more characters in the game. But I get what you're saying. I don't agree that people play it and don't have fun, or because they enjoy the IP. I feel like you have to. I don't know anyone who tried playing this without at least watching JJK, because it's not like it covers any of the manga. Granted, it weirdly covers some of the light novels, but that's like neither here nor there. I overall agree that Curse Clash is dog trash. We need more original characters and stories, like Toji's backstory and that kind of stuff. Otherwise, we'll get to a point way too fast where Yuji has 26 versions and 90% of them do a Black Flash. So far, all of them... No, the rare blue Yuji doesn't actually, I tell a lie, because it's from the Mahito arc, so it can't Black Flash yet. I agree with that, of course. I'd be fine with more original characters and more stories. I completely agree with that. I'd be fine with more original content. To an extent, that's what the prison thing is, but... Well, it's still original stuff. I'd still rather just have more, like... them make units of the characters in the game who don't already have units. We have like 3 Sakis and Yukis, yet we don't have 1 Rosetsu, and we don't have 1 of the new teacher with the eye patch, I forget the name of. We don't have either of them. We don't have a Grasshopper. We don't have a Haruta. I imagine a lot of people have said something similar, but we just need more units in the game to build out the roster instead of 10 Yujis, 10 Gojos, 10 Megumis, 10 Nobaras, 10 Inumakis, 10 Makis. I agree. If there's more original characters and stories, we'll just get more units. But at the same, I don't want it to become like P5X. One of the things that genuinely annoys me about P5X is 95% of the units are just randomers. You have like decades of games to pull from if you're using the entire Persona franchise, which I'm a huge fan of, and you're just making up random characters. I know in Japan they added like Makoto from P3. I don't think they've added anything from P4 yet. Go to P2, well, the 2 Persona 2 games. Go to P1, pull them out, fucking make units of them. And I feel the same way about Phantom Parade. Like, I just want them to cover the entire cast before they go too heavy-handed with OC stuff, but at the same time, with the OC stuff they've already made, I want them to actually have units. Like Rosetsu, because he has a full domain in-game, he has a full moveset. She's just not a unit. Same with the teacher. Like, just make them a unit, because it's there already. Just make them an SSR and make them mid. Just put them in the game, please, dude. Hot take, Ready Inumaki is more useful than half the SSRs. That's not a hot take at all. Ready Inumaki makes a lot more content in the game viable just because his very unique skill 2. Is it skill 2 or skill 3? Either way. I've said it before, they weren't thinking about how their kits would work in the meta going forward, and they just accidentally made them too unique and too strong. So it gets to the point where everyone has rare Yuki on their opener, let them die. Everyone's got cursed energy for the rest of the event, and if you've got like the SR, like Megami, Yuji memory. You know which one I'm talking about. Everyone's buffed as well for the rest of the event. So like you always have like a sacrificial Yuki on the team. And if you don't have a sacrificial Yuki, you're using rare Inumaki to get domains quicker for Sukuna and Domain Gojo so you can nuke faster, which is fair enough. Like those rares are better than, you know, Green Panda, probably Red Panda too. All three Makis, more viable. They just allow for very unique planning when it comes to like flaws and stuff on tower. Like those two rares specifically, Yuki and Umaki are busted. I've said it before, they're cracked. Everyone knows this. That's not a hot take. Everyone agrees with that. SP Camo is more valuable, well, is greater than Blue Inumaki. I imagine you just mean it's like a debuffer of value overall. And my opinion is, why not just use both? Just use them with Geto. Jobs are good. Like, you just use them with Geto and you're fine. I agree that Camo would do more damage. His debuff being an AoE is nice. Flowing red scale stack is dope, and it means he can do more damage and takes less damage than Inumaki. I think Inumaki doesn't heal himself enough. I feel like him healing himself with like his skill 1 and stuff, and his ult is kind of useless because it's so incremental and small. It doesn't really help in the grand scheme of things overall. But I would agree with that to an extent, but Inumaki's debuffs are better, but he does less damage. You know, he's a better enabler, but less damage dealer. But Camo's being an AoE is really nice. That's why I say just use both. Just use both with Geto, and your team is chilling. Red Toji is more valuable than Red Yuta, kind of inarguably, but with the new SP buffs, that'll not necessarily change, but will be a bit closer because Yuta can then heal more, he can do more damage, he can spam his skill 3, he get buffs more from crits and from his in the zone. I don't disagree. It's not a hot take, it's factually correct. Yeah, pretty much. I don't disagree. It's just because Toji's kit innately is just really strong. That's nothing crazy. Everyone agrees with that. I don't know if this is considered a controversial topic, but I get the impression some Zap was afraid to release more secondary units like Ino. It would have been great to have units like Geto's daughters, Mimiko and Nanako, Nita, Urahime, and Iso and Kechizu. I'd have loved to have seen Professor Nagino, that's his name, and Rosetsu. I would have preferred that as well. As I said, that's what I was saying earlier, I agree. I think they should buff out the roster more. I don't care if they're rares. Like, make the Nita brother and sister rares. Make Haruta and SR. Make Mimiko and Nanako SRs. Like, Urahime, make her an SSR. She'll be a broken buffer. You know, I was waiting for an Iso and Kechizu when the Fest, like, Formidable Battle came out. I was waiting for them. And they just didn't come out, which is a shame to me, because I like Iso and Kechizu. They're not, like, in my top 10 or anything, but I think, like, they're somewhat intriguing characters. They've got rotten, like, they can rot stuff with their blood. It's really cool design with, like, the rose on the people's skin. His stupid gimmick of looking at someone looking at his back like he's a JoJo's character. I think you know, they should be units. I agree. I just think there's, as I said, I completely wholeheartedly agree with this one 100%. There are just, I don't want more repetitions of units, right? I don't want 10 UGs, mate. As I said, I just don't want repetition as much. It's inherently going to happen with gacha games over time. Like, you will get duplicates of the same characters with different units over time, right? But it seems like with Phantom Parade specifically, it's getting very bad, where it's like literally we get a new Red Yuji who literally replaces the previous one, just like we got a new Hollow Pebble Gojo who immediately outplaces the previous one. There's no reason to use that Gojo anymore. If you have the teenage Hollow Pebble Gojo, it's going to be the same with this new Red Yuji. Why use the previous Nimble Body Red Yuji? There's no need. I'd rather instead have different units, just of different characters, which is a shame because they're not really doing that yet. I really hope the next anniversary other units aren't Gojo, because bro already has 5 SSRs, also adding more SRs. Like, yeah, I completely agree. Nothing to disagree with there. I don't want another Gojo either. The game is more free to play than people give it credit for. The amount of longevity old units have, SR Yaga still seeing so much play, 2 years into the game, among other units, and dupes for standards going in the exchange shop and standard update. Well, there is predatory elements. It's a gacha game and they all have it. Lord Slug continues to prove you can go 100% free to play. I don't know who Lord Slug is. I know he's a Dragon Ball character. I've seen the movies. I love Dragon Ball, but I assume you're referring to a dude who makes Phantom Parade videos who's completely free to play, which I respect. Like, there was an old dude called JP Fanta who played Dokkan who was exclusively free to play. I love it when people do that, when they're exclusively free to play on gacha games. I have a respect for it. It's cool. I like that stuff. But to an extent, I agree, but I still think it could be much more free to play. I wish it did have those elements from Dokkan where you got like a new SSR, like even the earliest parts of Dokkan, you got strike event units. Like, think about this, right? The only like hardcore free to play unit that isn't a Phantom Metal unit is like the JJK0 Blue Marquee, the SR, right? Why don't we have more like that? Why don't we have more units that are completely free to play that you can grind for with the event? And like Blue SR Maki isn't terrible. She's arguably better than Red Maki, which is insane, first of all. Like, she's not a terrible DPS. I'd be fine if we got more random event based ones like that. Like My Hero Ultra Impact used to do that all the time, right? I'd be perfectly fine with new random SR units dropping. Don't even make them SSRs. Screw it. Just give me more free to play units, please. like as I say, and that would help buff out the roster more. Give me Haruta, bro. No one likes him, but just give me Haruta just to fill out the roster. The first anniversary is the best compared to all celebrations after that. I assume when you say first anniversary, I imagine you're talking about JP and the suits, so Zonji and Domain Gojo. Maybe, I guess. I mean, you got a lot of stuff from the event. You got the suits, the skins. A lot of people like the skins. A lot of people don't. I'm in two minds about it. Those units are both incredibly viable now. You're talking about like just the event in general, how much it gave. That has yet to be seen. I still feel like it's very early to compare it yet, since we still haven't went through the second anniversary fully yet. Obviously, the first anniversary is going to be like the most charitable when it comes to summons and stuff, because that's when like gacha games get really like nice and giving out free stuff. And since we haven't seen the full extent of the second anniversary yet, I'd wait before we compare them. And the second anniversary shaping up, seems to be really nice. But maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We'll have to wait and see. Anime is the most useful free-to-play character since they have no competitors and alternatives. On release, sure. Now, no, because every event past like floor 40, Hanami's whole gimmick is that they reduce damage more than anything. Their domain, their skill 3, they are reducing the enemy damage to literally 0. But if you do that, it means you don't have a buffer on your team or a debuffer to like make you do more damage, which means the enemy's not going to die before turn 30. And because of that, they're going to insta-kill you as soon as you hit turn 30 or turn 40, right? If you don't have that extra buffer, you're not going to be able to nuke hard enough to kill the enemy. And because of that, the debuffs that Hanami provides won't be worth anything in the end, which is a shame. It's just because of how the meta changed that Hanami fell off significantly with newer content like Sweep and the latest stages of the Illusory Towers. She kind of significantly fell off. Her damage isn't good. She's just strictly for debuffing, but that entire meta of long-term debuffing attack just doesn't work anymore, unfortunately. And it's a shame, because she was a really fun, Hanami is a really fun unit, it's just not very good anymore. Blue Marky, as I said, I saw a couple of people put this. Blue Marky isn't as bad as people say, people just don't know how to use her ride with her different buff gimmick states. That's what I'm saying. It's like a combo thing. The previous move you did changes what buffs you will get from your next skill. It's a very unique kit. I'll probably put gameplay on screen for it, but it's not my favorite because it's just strange and overcomplicated. It's a very I'd rather just use Yuta or Zonji, not Zonji, Blue G, because you just spam skill 2, spam skill 3, get ult, use it, spam skill 3, spam skill 3. Like, it's a much more simple and succinct kit. That's what you want at the end of the day. You don't want anything too complicated where you have to, like, balancing buffs, ult gauges, on top of getting Yuki to die, on top of XYZ, on top of having to manage her kit alongside that. Just let me spam Blue G skill 3. I'm not saying she's terrible. There's just more for you to think about, and at the end of the day, I'd rather just not have to think about it as much and just use a different DPS. It's as simple as that. She might be more busted. She might be like, she's not as bad as everyone says. I don't think I've heard many people say that she's flat out bad, but I've heard a lot of people say she's mid, and I can't agree with that. She's mid. She's okay. She's not great, not bad. The most recent one, the new Annie units are really cool, and the colours aren't bad, although I think if they swap colours, they'd be better. No, because then red Todo is immediately replaced and invalid, and then green SP Yuji is completely wasted and invalid now. With the colours we have now, with the new red Yuji, new green Todo, only the old red Yuji is outdated and forgotten about now. If you switch them around, that means red Todo is even less viable than he was before, because then we have a new red Todo that applies best friend, and it costs less CE, and he gets more disruptions, and he does more damage, and he black flashes more. You make this new Yuji green, then the old SP green Yuji, who is a beast, is now invalid because now you don't need him either. It kind of makes 2 units invalid instead of only 1. So I think while I would have preferred not having a Yuji because that complicates things and it means 1 unit will become outdated immediately upon his release, it's better than only 1 unit going out of date instead of 2. The other one, this game is actually very free-to-play friendly compared to other gacha games like Genshin. Yeah, the pity is fine, but as I've said before, I think the Kaiju number 8 pity is ridiculously good. Imagine you want a new Sukuna that comes out, right? But the pity you got from the previous Yuta banner, you can use those pity points on that new Sukuna. I think that's good. I think that's fantastic. And Kaiju number 8 does that. And every other gacha game should do that, right? And it's the same amount of pity. It's 25 multis. I think every gacha game should do that. Like letting you move pity points between banners. I love that. I think that's phenomenal. In regards to free-to-play, I just want there to be units that you can grind for outside of... I just want them to be more free-to-play units overall. I want them to release more units for people to grind for. Not just the Phantom Medal stuff, but I mean an event unit. Or like, with the new story for the prison stuff, are those going to be free-to-players? Since it's like story-based and not timed event, it's like adding to the story. So it's like probably going to be like a permanent fixture in the story category. Are those units going to be free-to-play? Or is it going to be like Yellow Yuki and Green Saki where you have to summon for them as well, right? I'd rather them just be free-to-play. ideally, personally. Although Gojo needs a SP buff, I don't think anyone would disagree with that. I think everyone agrees he is incredibly outdated, unfortunately, and he is the weakest of the Gojos in my opinion. I think Blue Gojo is better than him. They're both not great, but Green Gojo needs it more than Blue Gojo. But Blue Gojo also really needs it. I've heard a lot of different ways to help fix his kit. You know, if he ults, it changes, you know, it gives him extra turns and blah, blah, blah. Anything is better than what he has now, in my opinion. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. This is one I get constantly flamed for, but it's that limited units and good standard units have the same exact or even more value summoning-wise, because in the long time they take to come back, for example, imagine someone right now that didn't summon for Yellow Shoko, having to wait many, many months for them, and now 6 more months of waiting. Now think about Chozo, Kusakabe, or Red Megami. It's going to be straight up years before they come to the standard, and they probably already have another best slot or substitute. To an extent, sure, but at the same time, I am one of those fools that went hard for Shoko and didn't pull her, and I was just assuming she would come on the standard banner this turn, and she's not, so I'm going to have to wait for like another 4 to 6 months for it to be added to the standard pool, which is very annoying. I don't agree though, because limited units just tend to be better though. You can say there are really good strong standard units, which they are, but most of the time limited units are better. Like Domain Gojo is better than, you know, Blue and Green Gojo. Arguably Teen Jo, depending on how you rate his value, but I'd say more than likely, you know, people would put Domain Gojo above every other Gojo because of just how much utility he has, because he is a limited unit, and 3 of those Gojos aren't, and they don't hold the same value. Same with like Teen Nanami, I think, is a limited unit because he's a hidden inventory unit. Same with Green Shoko. They're not going to be added to the standard pool for a while, right? Like Blue Yuta, limited, broken. Red Yuta, Green, Blue Ghetto, Blue Miguel, all of which limited, all of which really, really strong. To an extent, I understand what you're saying in the sense that, you know, yes, it might say standard on like a new unit that comes out, but they won't be added to the pool for like a whole last year. So at that point, they may as well be a limited unit. But at the same time, limited units overall just tend to be a lot stronger than like standard units. There are exceptions, of course, like, you know, Yellow Shoko, Yellow Yaga, XYZ. But like, look at the JJK Zero movies units, for example. They're all like some of the best in their category. I don't hardcore disagree. To an extent, I agree with you, because it is kind of stupid when it's like a new unit comes out and they're apparently a standard unit, but you will have to wait a year for them to be in the standard pool. Like Yellow Shoko really cooked me, unfortunately. And for the last one, which is a bit controversial, there's nothing wrong with leaking future content, units, and banners. Now, I'm in two minds about this, because I understand both sides, because when it comes to leaking content in general, even just outside of gacha games, you know, this isn't my main channel. I make like videos about JJK in general, and I'll see the leaks for Modulo, right, the new JJK manga, and there's like steps to it, right? So you'll get like the initial leaks, and then you'll get the dog water translations, and then you'll get like the official translation. So that's like steps to like theorizing about what's being said alongside the art and stuff. Like, I don't disagree, but I can understand why leaking culture is bad to, like, a lot of people see it as bad because it kind of ruins the surprise, so to speak. It's like, do you want to know, you know, are you the kid that goes downstairs on Christmas and shakes the presents to find out what's in them? It's just like, do you want to be that, or do you just want to be surprised on Christmas? And either or, I'm not bothered either way. Like, I saw the leaks for the new anniversary unit. I won't talk about it, but I know who it is, and you all probably know who it is because it's your first guess when you hear anniversary unit, to be honest. But I'm fine with it. I'm not, like, if something gets leaked on accident, it gets leaked on accident. It's not like the end of the world. I'm fine with it. Like, I won't cover it, but I also understand people who are very much against it, being like, it ruins the surprise, it ruins like any trailers you get in the future, finding out about movesets and seeing the card art for the first time, specifically with gacha games. I get it. That's fine. As I say, I'm not going to talk about the leak specifically for the anniversary stuff, which was kind of goofy how it got leaked, but I'm fine with it. So yeah, those were hot takes. I just yapped for a while. How about that? Let me know if you have any other hot takes down below. Let me know if you agree with what I said down below. But with that being said, here's my noodles. Hope I see you next one. Peace.